I was able to listen to at least half of it. I was very well. I'm gonna let you introduce the book first, and then I'm gonna talk about what I heard. You got
You ready?
yeah.
All right. So I just wanted to, for people that are watching, for those who don't know, Ta-Nehisi Coates, he's a award-winning author. He's he wrote a whole series for Marvel Comics, the Black Panther. Like, this guy's a real deal, and he writes about our struggle as Black people. Around, I'm going to say, the beginning of this year, maybe last year, maybe the end of last year, he talked about his trip in Palestine. And he talked about how, as a Black person in America, who ancestors and relatives that are still alive, came up through segregation and Jim Crow and redlining, and our own apartheid, living in America as Black people. When he went over there, and I've said it too, as Black people, we know what racism looks like. We know what oppression looks like because we lived it in America. So when you go into another country, you recognize it very well. And if you don't, then you've been living in a glass bubble, or you've been living with blinders on. So Ta-Nehisi Coates, in his book, The Message, he did not talk about just Palestine. He talked about other places too. But he gave his experience, and even he said that, and you'll see, because I'm going to try to play the clips, that he had more freedom walking through Israel than the Palestinians do. He had more freedom than Israeli Palestinians. So he wrote about that. And on the morning show, one of the hosts attacked him, basically saying that he was taking the side of the Palestinians and not taking the side of Jewish people. And I just, I was taken back on that, because that's when we deal with white supremacy, we see it in all forms. And when white people try to tell Black people that what they experience is not racism, that's white supremacy. That's part of white supremacy. And we have allowed it. But also, this is sad, because, and I wrote articles, the history of the civil rights movement and the Black Power movement in America was tied to the Palestinian struggle for years. For years. Black Panther Party, Malcolm X, Jesse Jackson, Martin Luther King, the civil rights movement, they all connected to the struggle of the Palestinian people for 30, 40, 50 years. And for us to actually forget that, then we're forgetting our own history. So let me I just want to oh damn, what happened to it? Hold on a second. Share screen, Windows. Yeah. Hold on a second. Yeah, that sounds better.
Oh, you was able to hear it?
Yeah.
Okay.
As I said, that sounds better.
All right. Yeah, I turned everything down, I guess.
Okay.
This thing got treble, bass, mid range. I had to turn everything down.
Let me.
Nicole Benjamin said Team Shanae. What's up, Nicole?
Hey, what's happening, Nicole? Here we go. Oh, shit. Oh, gotta take it off a thing.
I imagine if I took your name out of it, took away the awards and the acclaim, took the cover off the book, the publishing house goes away, the content of that section would not be out of place in the backpack of an extremist. And so then I found myself wondering, why does Ta-Nehisi Coates, who I've known for a long time, read his work for a long time, very talented, smart guy, leave out so much? Why leave out that Israel is surrounded by countries that want to eliminate it? Why leave out that Israel deals with terror groups that want to eliminate it? Why not detail anything of the first and the second intifada, the cafe bombings, the bus bombings, the little kids blown to bits? And is it because you just don't believe that Israel in any condition has a right to exist?
Well, I would say the perspective that you just outlined, there is no shortage of that perspective in American media. That's the first thing I would say. I am most concerned always with those who don't have a voice, with those who don't have the ability to talk. I have asked repeatedly in my interviews whether there is a single network, mainstream organization in America with a Palestinian American bureau chief or correspondent who actually has a voice to articulate their part of the world. I've been a reporter for 20 years. The reporters of those who believe more sympathetically about Israel and its right to exist don't have a problem getting their voice out. But what I saw in Palestine, what I saw on the West Bank, what I saw in Haifa in Israel, what I saw in the South Hebron Hills, those were the stories that I have not heard.
So Ta-Nehisi.
So that's crazy.
I respect what his answer was to that question, and I want to say the same thing. As the editor of Black Westchester, we're often asked questions like that. And as his response was, there's a plethora of that narrative already out there. You know what I'm saying? We speak for those who can't speak for themselves, and that's what we do. And that's what he's saying he did. And I relate to that. So I just wanted to say that part.
So I also like, oh man, I done messed up. But I also am we don't have real Black media. We don't have real Black media. And I say this, and was sad the fact that CBS and as you watch it, look at Gayle King sit there and look stupid. Look at the other Black guy. I don't just sit there and look stupid, and allow this man. And let's be clear. They said he has family over in Israel. His wife is Israeli, right? Yeah, you're gonna feel some type of way, and I understand, but you just dismissed it. His view on what happened, because as Black people, we understand what racism looks like.
And oppression.
To literally say that his book needs to be in the backpack. Check out what he said. His book needs to be. He said, are you kidding me? Are you really kidding me? And for Gayle King and the other brother to sit there shows that we don't stick up for each other, because we don't own our media. And let me tell you, and this is just not Gayle King. This is all the radio hosts. All the radio hosts. All of them. Even on what's that Black channel on Sirius? They don't do no better. Because we are too worried about them pulling our advertisement, and we're too worried about not pleasing these white stations. See, if we don't learn,
they got to answer to people.
Yeah, well, they got to answer to everybody. They have to. They have to answer to everybody. See, and when you stay silent, it's easy for them to come after someone like Ta-Nehisi Coates. This guy is an award-winning journalist. Award-winning journalist. And he's attacked like that. Let's go into
book. What is it that so particularly offends you about the existence of a Jewish state that is a Jewish safe place and not any of the other states out there?
There's nothing that offends me about a Jewish state. I am offended by the idea of states built on ethnocracy, no matter where they are.
Muslim included.
I would not want a state where any group of people lay down their citizenship rights based on ethnicity. The country of Israel is a state in which half the population exists on one tier of citizenship, and everybody else that's ruled by Israelis exists on another tier, including Palestinian Israeli citizens. The only people that exist on that first tier are Israeli Jews. Why do we support that? Why is that okay? I'm the child of people that were born into a country where that was exactly the case of American apartheid. I walk over there and I walk through the occupied territories and I walk down the street in Hebron. And a guy says to me, I can't walk down the street unless I profess. I'm with another pastor. No. I want to. This is very important.
It is
extremely important.
Yeah, let me lay it down.
I'm working with the person that is guiding me is a Palestinian whose father, whose grandfather and grandmother was born in this town. And I have more freedom to walk than he does. He can't ride on certain roads. He can't get water in the same way that Israeli citizens who live less than a mile away from him can.
And why
is that okay?
Why is that?
This is just one of many examples of.
Yo, that's crazy.
That's extra crazy. Go ahead.
And this is but see, here's the sad thing that black people lose it because we get in our feelings. This is what we're supporting.
This country,
This is what we are supporting. That what Ta-Nehisi Coates witnessed. This is what us Negroes are supporting.
and this is the narrative that they don't want to get out. This is
Exactly.
some of y'all are hearing this for the first time because they don't allow this to get out. They control their narrative. Black Westchester was here to change the narrative. I want to shout out Sister Atilia Taylor Tanner. She does Humble Bumble Books, and she deals with a bunch of Black books like this book. And she said Banned Book Week continues. She encouraged people to read the books that are on the banned book list. And I want to shout her out. She does very good work. She does the mobile book, a book store outside of events and conferences and stuff. She'll see her with her table. If you see her, support her. Tell her Black Westchester told you. Pick up some of the books because she supports a lot of Black authors that we need to be reading.
Yeah, man. But we have to. Oh, you're welcome, Rosa. We have to really understand what we're voting for. When people get mad at me, and I tell them, no, I'm not voting for Democrats. Absolutely not. Why? Because they're supporting genocide. Because they're supporting segregation. Because they're supporting everything that they claim that the Constitution is for, those amendments for Black people. They throw them out the window over there in Israel. And they're sending our money, our tax dollars, over there to that. So yes, that dude's going to get upset because someone as the stature of Ta-Nehisi Coates has put it in writing. Put the ink to the paper about what's going on out over there. But we're calling our feelings, and we're not understanding that we are indirectly supporting genocide. Because Negroes is caught in their feelings. Because we want to make history. But we're making history, all right. We're making history of destroying a whole culture of people. And I don't want to hear about Trump. The question is, are we ready to deal with those repercussions with God? That's the question. Because the man, by the book, and the man's going to tell you what goes on over there. And that's what you're supporting when you go to the ballot box. And that's on you.
I want to say the things he described when he answered him is what we faced here in Jim Crow and
Exactly.
segregation and slavery, and right after slavery, that's this type of oppression. We couldn't drink at certain fountains. We couldn't go down certain streets. We couldn't go in certain stores. So, as a descendant from that, and you showed the video clip before. He said, "Oh, I know what this is. I recognize this because we've seen it before here. Like I know what this is."
Right, and
it's crazy. The guy was his guide. The guy was his guide and couldn't go down that street. That's crazy. And the fact that we're not dealing with that, the fact that the interviewer, his point of view, because the author didn't have his point of view, he wanted to shut him down. Like his point of view was the only point of view, like no one else had the right to have another point of view. I have a problem with that.
Well, I mean, but
I've always had a problem. That's why we do what we do, because I've always had a problem with that.
All right,
we always say the things that they didn't want us to say.
Let's check out this last spot. This last part.
Oh, you got another one?
Yeah, one more clip. Hold on a second.
Is there no agency in this book for the Palestinians? They exist in your narrative merely as victims of the Israelis, as though they were not offered peace at any juncture, as though they don't have a stake in this as well. What is their role in the lack of a Palestinian?
I have a very, 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 very moral compass about this. And again, perhaps it's because of my ancestry. Either apartheid is right or it's wrong. It's really, really simple. Either what I saw was right or it's wrong. I am, for instance, against the death penalty. What the person did to get the death penalty, it really doesn't matter to me. I don't care if they were selling a nickel bag of marijuana or if they were a serial killer. I am against the death penalty. I am against a state that discriminates against people on the basis of ethnicity. I'm against that. There is nothing the Palestinians could do that would make that okay for me. My book is not based on the hyper-morality of the Palestinian people.
So here she goes. That's all Gayle King had to say. And what he told the host, you're not going to understand because you're white. Basically, that's what he told him. Maybe it's because my ethnicity. Yeah, because I'm a black man. I've been through this. You haven't. Your white skin is a privilege. Even if you waste it, it's a privilege. See, this is, and this is what we continue to have to fight against. This is why the need for us to start controlling our own institutions and controlling our narratives. And if you were just watching that, you would think that his whole book is about Palestine, but it's not.
I was going to say that.
It's not. It's a chapter. It's a chapter, or maybe two. I didn't get the book yet. I didn't listen to the audio yet, but it's a chapter or maybe two.
So I do want to speak on it because I downloaded it this morning. I have it on Audible. I got to listen to half of it. Now let me tell you. So he also is a big part of Africa and talk about going to Africa and how American blacks are considered in Africa and how they're dealing with Africa. So he talks about that. But before he gets into any of that, what he talks about is his love affair with language and words and how certain songs and journalism, how he got into journalism. And I totally related to all of that. Our interest was very similar. He had different experiences, and he was exposed to a little bit more a little earlier than I was. But that's what, like, there's a whole book here. There's not this part about Palestine was a very small part of it. There's a, like, he didn't acknowledge nothing about all the stuff he talked about Africa.
Mm-mm.
There's a whole portion of that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they tried to credit, Black people have been discredited for taking a small part of a big piece and trying to make it like it was all about that. Like, Black people have made speeches and they take one sentence of what they said and tried to make it all about that.
Right.
This book, I'm telling all Black people need to get this book. Whether you read it, whether you listen to it on Audible, support this book. Go get this book. And it's funny that my sister said, she said banned book week. This would be a book that would be on the banned book list eventually. This would definitely be one of those books. So I encourage all my Black people who like to read and know what time it is to go get this book. I deliberately turn the channel every time I see Gayle King.
Gayle King, I'm very disappointed in you. And the brother just stood there. He ain't saying nothing. See, this is how we get.
And that's our responsibility. But I just want to say that. See, a lot of people worried about, whether it's locally or nationally, you're worried about losing your job. You're worried about retaliation of something like this. You sit in a position of power. That's a position to go into people's kitchens and living rooms and bedrooms every morning. You know what I'm saying? There's a certain power. But with that comes a certain responsibility. And when stuff like this comes, and this brother, you allowed this one white guy to team up. It was like a whole bunch of people against him. Team up, like, you didn't defend him. You didn't present another side of it.
No, they just sat there.
Anything about your Blackness, you didn't speak. You just said silent.
And
Martin Luther King said silence, betrayal. He also said, you might not always remember the words of your enemies, but you'll always remember the silence of your friends.
Exactly.
I'm paraphrasing. We have to stop being afraid to speak. When you're in the positions, there have been Black people who have spoke up, and they're not on those shows anymore.
Hold on, I'm trying to close this window.
Yeah, only you have to close it because you put it up there. I can't close it. I can't take the pictures out either. I don't know how. Yeah, she never speaks up. It's like our Black elected officials, locally and nationally, they don't speak up because they're scared of offending a group of people who want to support them no more. The problem I have is what happens, where are you when we get offended? Like, who speaks up for us when we're offended? I was offended by some of those comments that dude made. The fact that he brought that narrative to him like that. And I love that this brother, he was educated. He had an educated black man there, an educated brother. He spoke with intelligence. He never lost his cool. He didn't curse him out. He just brought the facts and kept it 100 with him. And we need more brothers like that. And when we have brothers like that, that's what I'm saying. We need to support those brothers. So everybody go buy his book. Word up. That's it.
Absolutely.
We don't have enough Black media. Like I always joke around, like the song said, one day, and it might not be long, you're going to look around and we're going to be gone because our people ain't support us. The people that we're talking about and that don't want us to say what we're saying, They're not gonna support us. You know what I'm saying? Yo, when you have people that are speaking for us and changing the narrative, we gotta support them. And I went and as soon as Damon told me of the book, I went and brought it on Audible. Like I said, I listened to more than half the book. I didn't even get to the Palestine part. The last
Listen,
part where I left off, he was talking about Africa. What I'm saying, I didn't even get to that part, which means I got to more than half of the book, almost 3/4 of the book, and I didn't get to that part. My point is, the book ain't all about that. That's the point I'm making. That's the point.
No. Yeah, but that's the narrative. I just unfollowed Gayle King. I don't have time to be following slaves. I don't have time to be following slaves. See, and when you and black people got mad at Donald Trump when he talked about black jobs. That's black jobs. You just saw black jobs. Black jobs is just while another black man is being attacked for telling what he saw in Palestine because it disagreed with not just that person, but whoever was on top. Because trust me, he got the order to do that. He didn't do that on his own. He didn't do it on his own. And I'm giving the Negroes, Gayle King and the other brother, the benefit of the doubt that they didn't even know that was going to happen. But still, your blackness should have kicked in, Gayle. And the dude's name, as a black man, your blackness should have kicked in, because you're not separated from the issues that Ta-Nehisi Close was talking about of our experience here in America. And at least you could have co-signed on what he was saying. But no, you just sat there. And neither one of them even nodded their head to suggest what Ta-Nehisi Coates' truth was coming out of his mouth of us being as black people and what we experienced here in America. That's crazy. That's crazy. These people got them so shook because they're going to lose something. And it's just not Gayle and them. There's a whole lot of bunch of black Negroes out here are shook because they're scared they're going to lose something, that they sell their brothers and sisters down the drain. And we wonder why we're on the bottom of everything as a people, on the bottom. It's sad. It's really sad.
The brother's name is Nate Burleson, Burleson.
Well, Nate, you sold yourself out, Nate.
Because the other person, Tony Dokoupil, whatever he sounds like the guy that was doing the talking. So
yeah, he's the guy doing the talking. His wife is Israeli. They got family over there, and he's in his feelings. But what everything Ta-Nehisi Coates said went over his head because he didn't care. He didn't care. And people act like this started on October 7th. This has been going on for 30, 40, 50 years since the creation, since the European Jews came from Europe and they were sent over there by the United Nations treaty or whatever. But they wasn't there before Hitler. I mean, it is what it is. And the struggle was on and on.
They've been fighting over that piece of land since the days of the Bible.
No, because they was giving it. It was the most egregious thing that the United Nations ever did. And France and United States is the most egregious thing that they did to the people that actually lived there. That was there already. So how and the question is that we have no intention on fixing it. And the way we feel that we're going to fix it is to allow them to kill them. And nobody's saying anything. But like I said, man, listen, God is going to be the winner at the end, because you can't continue and unjustly kill thousands and thousands and thousands of women and children and don't think it's going to come back. And I'm not talking about Israel. I'm talking about the White House. I'm talking about America, what we vote for. We don't even have money for disasters. We don't even have money for disasters.
The famous Tupac line, they got money for war but can't feed the poor. And
we're just going into hurricane season. We're just going into hurricane season. And we're going to get hit with more. Because now we're not on the side of justice, bro. We're not. And it is what it is.
Climate change, all these storms are getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse.
Ain't no climate change. That's God. Ain't no climate change. Ain't no climate change, brother. Ain't no climate. That's the Most High. See, because black people don't know justice. We don't know what justice looks like. We don't know what justice looks like. I dare any black person listening to this to come on this show and say we know what justice looks like. We haven't seen justice since we was brought over here by slave ships. Show me what justice looks like. And the fact of the matter is, we haven't even got the benefits from the amendments. We haven't even received the benefits from the constitutional amendments that was written for us. We haven't even seen that. And we still don't get it. If you want to argue with me, come on. We could go through every amendment. And we see as a whole, and black people have received what that amendment said, what that constitutional amendment said we are supposed to receive. Anybody, come on, we go through the amendments. We haven't received none of it. But hope. Hope. We have to hope. Hope is future tense. They keep putting us in some dream. Martin Luther King had a dream. Obama's got hope. And we still ain't haven't woken up as a people and do for ourselves. Well, that's it. I didn't say what I had to say today.
Again, last week the advertising in the newspaper, get your 10-year anniversary commemorative ads in. You get the take out an ad or make a donation to celebrate the 10-year anniversary, just the 10 years of giving you the news with the Black point of view. This is last week to advertising that issue. Shout out to my partner in rhyme, B-Love, William Taylor. His birthday was my brother from the rap group I was in, JVC Force. We've been brothers since I was 7 and he was 5. That's my brother. I want to celebrate him. I shared pictures of us on social media. I want to give him a shout out. Most of the stories we talked about tonight, as always, can be found on blackwestchester.com. That's it. Until next week.
I didn't cover it tonight, but I'm gonna do a whole video. I'm gonna do a whole video on the George Floyd bill, because I'm really tired of these Negroes. The George Floyd bill, the George Floyd bill is ineffective. The George Floyd bill is not going to change policing as we know it. The George Floyd bill does not have the tooth to deal with local, county, and state police. The George Floyd bill will only deal with federal policing. And I'm tired of these Black radio hosts and these Black activists out here George Floyd bill when the George Floyd bill is flawed. Nothing that comes from the feds can actually change local state police. It can't do it. It goes against the Constitution. But we stay in our damn emotions. The first thing they ask people, you support the George Floyd bill? You support the George Floyd bill? Even if they did support the George Floyd bill, it ain't going to change nothing in New Rochelle, in Mount Vernon, and Yonkers, because they're local police departments.
So I want to, before you say anything, Damon, I'm gonna post Bob's comment. I want to address it real quick. If the Palestinian people should be our primary consideration in determining who to vote for in November and whether we should vote at all, then we ought to seriously weigh the impact of foreign policy either policy would institute. Failure to consider the consequences of that decision is to put one's feeling about the party above the question of what position a Democrat or Republican administration will take with the respect to the Palestinians, Donald Trump and the Republican Party. So before we even get into all of that, the majority of this conversation, when talking about this author, was talking about how what he saw over there resembled the oppression that Black people experienced here. And the fact that, and the pushback from the host of CBS News, who had a problem that he called this out because it was against the narrative the Israeli people would have you hear. And he spoke about that, and that's what the conversation was on. I think Damon might have got a little bit into the voting and stuff, but
but
that's not what I was talking about.
No,
that's not what I was talking about.
The original conversation was about the book.
Donald Trump. I was talking about Kamala Harris.
Well, what I'm saying is this. I'm saying is this, right? Democrat or Republican, they are all bought off by the Israeli lobbyists,
and they both have supported Israel.
They both had supported and someone who believes and someone who strongly has faith, and if we're going to be faithful people before politics, we should stand on justice. And this is my position. This is my vote. This is my vote. And I'm not acting off of feelings. I'm acting off of scripture. This is my vote. And I'm not voting for a Republican or a Democrat. Because neither of them are acting in justice when it comes to Jesus's people. Now you could leave it or let it alone. And I'm tired when people throw Trump. So what? So what? Mount Vernon, Mount administration, whatever administration. Whatever administration. Oh, but look, Obama was the drone. They called Obama the drone president. He didn't go to war, but he killed people with drones.
I'm glad you brought that up. I want to say something about that.
Right. Not only that, from what they did to Gaddafi, created a vacuum, which gave power to ISIS. Because this is our foreign policy. And our foreign policy just leads us to war. No matter who's in the seat. Because the mission of the seat of the president hasn't changed, even with a black president. But we have to have some humanity somewhere, and it seems like God absent in American policy when it comes to foreign policy. Unless it fits our interests of power and control. Not humanity, power and control. And sooner or later, it's going to come bite us back in the ass. Because what you put out comes back to you. I don't care what aspects you put it at. And we're thinking on such a low level, we ain't even thinking like that. We just want to be on the winning team. That's why Mount Vernon looks the way it looks, because they just want to be on the winning team. Instead of putting the correct people in place to actually run the city. They'd rather be on the winning team. And now we're taking that sick ideology and we're taking it to national politics. And in reality, nobody wins. At the end of the day, don't nobody win. We're about to go into World War III.
Technically, aspects of it has already started. But I do want to say, when we were talking about Israel and Palestine, when Obama was president, they accused him with the drone strikes of creating the next level of terrorists. What do you think Israel actions in Palestine is doing? These kids whose parents and families and schools and stuff are being bombed. You're giving birth to the next generation of terrorists. That's why this situation over there's never really going to be peace in the Middle East. It's going to be an ongoing situation. But we don't look at it like that. But
no.
we accused Obama. They accused the very people that have a problem with this, accused Obama of creating the next generation of terrorists with all the drone strikes.
Yeah, him and war,
Palestine.
him and the war dog Hillary Clinton. Let's let's remember Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State. She was a part of the whole thing with Libya. Remember when all the American soldiers got killed in Libya? Hillary. See, we forget so quick. And they did that, and they took out Gaddafi. They made these lies about Gaddafi, which wasn't true. Anybody that knows Black history, anybody knows about the African Union, know that the lies that they told about Gaddafi wasn't true. And they wanted Gaddafi because Gaddafi was going to take his oil and move it off the American standard. And his next step was to do the United States of Africa.
And get out of the euro and create the African.
Exactly. Exactly. And create a whole African economy. And they killed him. Between the United States and France. So, we got to understand the history of our own country and dealing with countries out there. And then you wonder why they don't like us, because we are trying to dictate how other countries run. And then we try to do it with money and buy them. That's when Kamala Harris went out there as vice president to them African countries and was telling them that they have to honor the LGBTQ community, and they told us she got to leave. We're trying to dictate democracy in other countries. How do we do that? Who are we to do that? That's like me coming in your house telling you how to live in your house. And if you don't live in your house the way I tell you to live in your house, you're not going to get this money I got. And that's what America does.
Oh, we can take the house from you and give it to somebody else.
Right. Or, exactly, they'll take the house from you, or give somebody else some money, and next thing you know, you'll be watching CNN, and then there's a coup, and you got to flee because they done gave the head of the army some money to kill you. There already been books written about all that foolishness. And I remember, Venezuela, Chavez. That was his name for Venezuela. When he stood at the UN and called out Bush for trying to assassinate him.
Hugo Chavez, the former president of Venezuela.
Yeah. And at that time, Citgo Gas was a Venezuelan company, direct gas company, Citgo. And he made a point to make sure that those gas stations, if we remember, was all in Black communities. And then when we had an oil crisis, Chavez sent oil to Harlem. See, but these are American enemies. Fidel Castro, when he came, he went to Harlem. We have to begin to learn our history and where we are in this fight in this fight for freedom, justice, and equality, because we're really losing it. Even with all our education, we're really losing it. We're making up new Black history. That don't even match the actual struggle that we had in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. I don't know. We got to get it together, man. And we got to learn how to do for ourselves. Till we do for ourselves, we're going to be dependent on everybody.
Well, until
And
next week.
Don't let these over-marketed employees called athletes think that they're living the American dream. Stop being fooled by social media. Most people that's flashing stuff is broke. I'm done.
So this has been another episode of Black Westchester Presents the People Before Politics radio show, episode 410, giving you real talk for the community since 2014. Again, the advertised in the paper for the 10-year anniversary this week. You see the banner. You want to make a donation to help keep the show going, keep it free for the people. Hit us up. Until next week, peace.
$22 million Black victims of Americanism are waking up. New political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. Today, look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it.